That was our Agape Global Choir under the direction of Marianne Lewis. Glory by Joseph Powell. Because there's something glorious about us. Now, oftentimes there's an overlay of limited perception, an overlay of imprint, an overlay of woundedness, an overlay that allows us to no longer see that which is real, that which is eternal, that which is forever. But when you come into the field of agape, you come into the field of the magnificent practitioners that are holding you in prayer right now as you're tuning in. You come into the sacred field of the sacred music that is moving through your bloodstream. That overlay begins to be disintegrated, begins to be dissolved, begins to be transmuted, so that you have pinpricks of seeing, pinpricks of knowing. The great power, the great presence, the great love, the great I am, the great God of the universe that is everywhere in its fullness, so that your days become more and more flooded with the light of reality. This month, we're completing this particular theme of don't be shy, let your light shine. Reminding us that each and every one of us are luminous beings. Yes, even those people you don't like. Each and every one of us are luminous beings, here to shine our light, here to remember who we are, and to allow for our light to so shine before men and women and every individual on the planet that they see who sent us, which is the power and the presence and the love of God. So that in the uppermost of your awareness, you begin to contemplate the truth that you have arrived here on earth to glow, to give, to share, to shine. Indeed, you are a gift from God. So if anyone ever comes up to you and says, who do you think you are, God's gift to the world? You'll say, yes, I am. And we all are. God's gift to the world. Now, what does that do in terms of the universal law that matches your vibration and frequency? When you step into the feeling tone that you are a gift from God, here to radiate and shine the luminosity, you're coming to an awareness that you have and that you are something to give. So the sense of lack begins to be disintegrated from your awareness because you are arriving to shine. You're arriving to glow. You're arriving to radiate. You're arriving to give. You're not arriving on the planet to get anything, but to shine your light. So the moment there is 50.1% of your subjective tendency feeling into that you already have and that you are here to give, then there is momentum that takes place spiritually, and 50.1 becomes 50.2, becomes 51%, becomes 55%, 60, 70%, until most of you, on a subjective level, is here to shine and to give, rather than to get operating from, which is operating from a sense of lack and limitation. So then you begin to understand that when there are two or more gathered in the name and in the nature of the Christ, there I am, says this presence. When the conscious mind and the subconscious mind become one, two or more, when the subconscious and the subconscious unite, the superconscious takes over. And you live from a whole nother dynamic, a whole nother awareness. So thus, when you hear, don't be shy, let your light shine, you're coming under the authority of being and having and sharing. And you're beginning, when we talk about don't being shy this month, we're reminding ourselves that we are here to normalize the sense of joy, normalize a sense of peace, a sense of well-being, even in the midst of darkness, even in the midst of the world of phenomena swirling, even in the midst of the vicissitudes of the human experience. You are here to normalize the joy, normalize the peace. Don't be shy, because at this particular time, the normalization of fear, doubt, and worry is at an all-time high. And so you want to stick out as one who knows God, who knows the presence, not as a belief system, not as a memorization of scriptures, not as a philosophy, which are all good, are all stepping stones to realization, but through intense and deep and profound spiritual practice, you come to know the presence of God within you, and then there becomes a normalization of a sense of joy that has nothing to do with circumstances. And though you may not fit in to the prevailing frequency of the world, you did not come to the planet to fit in. You did not come to the planet to live in the prevailing paradigm, the status quo. You've come to shatter the status quo and to allow the light to so shine before individuals on this planet that they do see and feel and sense and feel the fire of the Holy Spirit within you, anchoring the realm of ever-expanding good on earth as it is in the heart mind of the infinite. So thus, when you hear the master teacher say in substance to be of good cheer, he wasn't saying that as a throwaway statement. There were times of darkness. There were times of occupation by the Roman Empire. There were times of running for his life. There were times of all of that. But he said, hey, be of good cheer. I'm not living in that world. Be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. So as we've been talking about this month, this spiritual practice of being of good cheer is just that. It's a spiritual practice. Again, it's not merely a belief system or philosophy or sweet words. It's a time of us, as the topic would indicate today, it's a time of minding our mind and mining divine mind. In other words, you are to mind your mind so that you can be of good cheer. You can mind your mind. In other words, the mind is oftentimes just a set of programs and imprints that have been picked up along the way in this human experience. Whatever the doctors were saying when you were being born in the hospital imprinted your awareness. Whatever the social milieu was happening during your time of your incarnation and unfolding imprints on the mind. Whatever traumas and experiences you went through growing up imprints on the mind. And how you interpreted whatever was going on imprints on the mind, you see. And so you have to mind your mind because it is a set of programs that's spinning out realities and obtaining thought forms based on that reality, that's producing perception, that's producing experience, and it's going on and on and on and on. You have to mind your mind. You have to mind your mind. So you're not as much interested, even though you can be interested, but you're not as much interested as to where the imprints came from, as you are in discerning whether those imprints match up with eternal truth. So when you're minding your mind, you look, you see the opinions, the points of view, you see the mind chatter, you see all of that moving through your mindscape. And after a while, you're able to look at it and say, is that particular thought form, does that match up with the eternal truth of my I amness? Does that match up with the eternal truth of that which is forever, that which is eternal? Or is that something that's been imprinted upon me based on my human experience? And as you continue to mind your mind, there are pinpricks of gaps where you're able to see that you're not the mind stuff, that you are the space that the mind stuff is moving through. And then you're able to mine, M-I-N-E, divine mind. That is, we're all surrounded by a divine mind, love, heart of infinite spirit. It's full to overflowing with divine and perfect spiritual prototypes, spiritual ideas, whole patterns that are uncorrupted, unadulterated by time or experience, points of view, perception, opinions, etc. Divine ideas proliferate. Everywhere we are, we're surrounded by a divine idea of the presence and the presence of God as each and every one of us. And you begin to mind divine mind. You begin to ask to be filled to overflowing with wisdom, transformational knowledge, divine understanding, and perfect peace. You begin to mind divine mind So that insights and revelations begin to be where you live. Begins to be where you live from. Now, of course, as that begins to happen, it's going to bump up against the imprints. It's going to bump up against the limited perceptions that are obtaining thought forms based on that perception. I need you to understand what I just said there. It used to be taught in metaphysics over the years that you think thoughts, but we've come to an understanding that you obtain thoughts. You obtain thought forms, or you obtain inspiration. Thought forms that are sometimes created from a sense of separation. And so there are a lot of thought forms of anxiety, worry, doubt, fear, separation. Not enough this, I don't have enough, I got to go out and get this, and I got to make this happen. Or there's the inspiration straight from heart mind of the infinite, containing the divine prototypes of infinite spirit, seeking to express themselves through you. And so when in fact we're in a limited perception, we hinder the full flow of divine ideation. And so we just end up in a loop of constantly experiencing the limited perception and the thought forms that are emanating from that limited perception. This is why you're breaking free in your spiritual practice, your meditation, your affirmative prayer, your study. You're being still so you can break free, you see, and begin to mine divine mind. To step into the feeling tone of as I said earlier, to normalize the joy that becomes more real to you than the experience that you might be having. Remember, experience is overrated because you can experience something that's not true. I'll get into that. But these imprints, as I was saying earlier, you begin to examine the imprints and you can see what's in alignment with truth and what's in alignment with limited perception. You begin to make choices from an expanded point of view through spiritual practice. And I remember as a kid, my brother Akili can attest to this, and we would sit at the dinner table and we would say something, about whatever was going on in the world, whatever. And my father would say, "How do you know that's true?" And, now we're getting ready to walk with the judge. We're getting ready to walk with the attorney. We got to be very careful about what we're about to say. He said, "How do you know that's true?" He said, "Well, we saw it on the news. We read it in the newspaper." No. Come on, guys. And he would school us. Just because it's in the newspaper does not mean it's truth. Just because you heard it on the news. And he would make us, depending on who had said whatever, most of the time it was my younger brother, go ahead and do some research and see if that's really true. And we'd come back and say, "Oh man, that wasn't really true. That was the news reporter's opinion." That was, and so he would train us to be able to tell the difference between an opinion and a real fact. And just because it was on television or in the newspaper didn't necessarily mean it had anything to do with reality. And he would drill us, so it became a thing. It's like, so that we grew up, we knew that if you picked up the newspaper, some of it was opinion, it was somebody's point of view, it was a narrative from a particular paradigm. We grew up with that, you see. And in that same sense, you want to mind your mind so that you could see if what's flowing through your mindscape, your sky of mind, is that a truth or is that an opinion? Is that someone's narrative that I inherited in my human experience? Or is that a fundamental reality that's emanating from my oneness with God? Now, we're not saying throw caution to the wind and not have a sense of safety about yourself and a sense of well-being, a sense of wholeness and health and doing what is necessary to be healthy and to be safe. But we're saying that ultimately, that which you are holding in your sky of mind chronically becomes a perception that then feeds in and upon itself and brings to itself thought forms that keeps reproducing that perception, so you can't get out of the loop of that limited perception. It becomes the blind leading the blind. If you were here on the Christmas Eve service, I don't mean here physically, but if you tuned in, I reminded you that Yeshua ben Joseph, Jesus the Christ, said, I have come to bring sight to the blind and to bring hearing to the deaf. But he also said, I have come to make those that see blind and those that hear deaf, meaning those that are caught up in a loop of their limited perception and think they know what they know. I've come to make them blind to that. And those that are listening to their own mind chatter and believing it, I've come to make them deaf to that. Now, all of this occurs when you're in practice. Meditation, prayer, study, high fellowship with high-minded people. You break free. You break free. So, mind your mind. And then mind. Divine mind. That's what you're doing when you're in spiritual practice. You're saying, let me see reality. Bring forth wisdom. Let me fast from my chronic thinkingness that I may feast on divine mind intelligence and love and beauty and joy. Let me feast on that which is real until my prevailing and chronic perception is I am here at the standing on the tiptoe of the nowness of this moment, being available to fresh insight. So I'm living constantly available to more of me. So that you begin to understand the difference between recollection and memory. They're not the same thing. Memory is from the brain. The brain can fail you at times. Recollection is from your soul. Your multidimensional soul knows. When you're in prayer and meditation, you are recollecting. You're having a recollection of what you already know. You're not memorizing it. It's not from your memory. It's from your recollection, you see. And you're activating spiritual faculties within you, of which most people of the world don't even try to live like that. As Scripture would indicate, the natural man and woman can't even discern what we're even talking about. They think it's foolish because it must be spiritually discerned. There must be some level of activation of the light within you, and then you see life differently. Other than that, you're living in the natural world, but this is why our teacher, a great teacher, said, be of good cheer because I've overcome that world. Living in a different frequency, a different vibration, you see. The stuff of mysticism can't really be taught. It has to be caught. It can't be taught. It has to be caught. And that means that when it's a moment of inspiration where you catch it. You catch it, you see. And so always from the mystical perspective, we're always speaking about something that cannot be done. It's not operational. It's realizational. In other words, you can't do love. This is why sometimes around the holidays, people will go home and they're trying to be on good behavior and they're trying to, be loving, and it ends up sometimes with a lot of side effects like anxiety and worry and all kinds of stuff because you're trying to do something that can't be done. You can't do love, but you can realize love. When you realize you can't do it, but you stop and you begin to go within yourself and have a moment of catching that God is love. I can't do this, but God is love. God becomes the activity of my awareness. Peace becomes the activity of my awareness. Joy becomes the activity of awareness. And then when I go into particular environments, when I talk about I, I'm talking about we. Go into particular environments, we're not trying to do it. We're walking in with it. We're walking with the realization of it. And there are no side effects to that. Because we're not manipulating. We're trying to do love. I'm going to be on best behavior. I'm going to do this. No. We're speaking about something that cannot be done. I'm thinking right now, I remember for a number of years in a row, me and my buddy Nirvana Gale would drive up to Ojai every year, and we would see Krishnamurti live. We'd go up there, we'd spend the night, stay 2 or 3 days, and sit at the feet of Krishnamurti. And we would play this song on the way up there called Can It Be Done? It was sung by Carl Anderson. And this was a couple of years before we even met Carl. But he was already in our consciousness. And he would sing that song, Can It Be Done? Or can it be sung as well? That one song, that melody, they can, and we would always be into this song because it was on the Weather Report album. It was the only vocalist that Weather Report ever used on one of their albums, Carl Anderson, on that particular song, Can It Be Done? And we would listen to that. Little did I know at the time that it was a beautiful imprint in my own awareness of that which cannot be done, which is love, peace, joy, wisdom, harmony, wisdom. That can't be done. It's not a doing, it's a being. Can it be done? No, it can't be done. So, hear everything that I've just said. Hear it for the first time. Don't be shy. Let your light shine. You have arrived on the planet as a luminous being to let your light so shine through a sacred remembrance, through spiritual practice, a recollection of that which the soul already knows, to normalize a real sense of peace and safety and well-being and joy in the midst of the vicissitudes of the human experience. To use as a spiritual practice, being of good cheer, taking moments out of your day to bracket your worries, your fears, your doubts, to bracket them for a minute and to go into a moment of cheer, not simply because it's a holiday, because it's a holy day, because you are alive. It's a holy day every day. Being of good cheer and transcending the world that your limited perception through agreement with the masses is producing. And then you mind your mind, and you look and you see the opinions and the points of view and the perceptions and all of the things that are going through the sky of your mind, and you're able to see, oh, is that true? Is that real? Is that eternal? If it's not real, if it's not eternal, then even though it might be a fact, doesn't mean that it's real, doesn't mean that it's eternal. And you begin to mind your mind so that program is not programming you anymore. And then you ask, let me mine, M-I-N-E, divine mind. Let me catch that which is real within me. Let me see it. Open my eyes that I may see a glorious reality. I know it's going to shatter the illusions that I've been living under, but I'm willing, I'm available. Let me see that which is real. Let me see it. I ask for guidance from divine mind, transformational knowledge, wisdom, flowing intelligence, love. I ask that I may ultimately have a realization of that which can't be done, but that which is, and is now becoming the vibrational frequency of my being. So that I'm bringing it with me to the best of my ability, moment by moment by moment. And they shall know that you have touched the hem of the garment by that slight smile, a little secret smile you have on your face. That inner knowing that whatever it is that we're growing through, whatever challenges we have something inside of us that knows it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Life never works against itself, never compromises itself, never contradicts itself. Life with a capital L is always for itself. So it's always going to ultimately not only be the first, but the so-called final word of our existence. And so our role is to become perpetual students of the truth, capital T, truth. Our role, to have some level of practice where we're minding our mind, laughing at ourselves when we get caught up in the conundrum of the mind stuff. Say, whoop, got caught. Got caught. Not going into some kind of new age hell by beating ourselves up and feeling guilty that we got caught. Got caught. Got caught. And then coming back to ourselves. Recollection. Coming back to ourselves. Standing in an awareness that if life is for us, nothing is against us. This is the fabric of our practice. This is Christmas every single day. The Mass celebration of the Christ presence, the unfolding of the Buddha mind, the articulation of the life divine, as Sri Aurobindo would teach us, to step into that. And what are the byproducts of that? You're more successful in this world. You're more healthy in this world. You're more happy. Because you're not depending upon the world to make you happy. You're not depending on someone else and their actions to make you happy. Can't be done. You're having a realization of joy, a realization of love, a realization of peace, a realization of safety, a realization of intelligence. It's already been given. We must grow in our graciousness to receive it. Thus, we hear the scripture, for as many as received him/her, the Christ, gave them the power to be the sons and daughters of the Most High. Receptivity. That's the tea for you to drink today. Receptivity. Drink that. Let that go down and allow you to break free from the insanity. People have been drinking that insanity for too long out here in the world. No, drink receptivity, you see. And then I'll start to drink a little brevity so that we could get out of here on top. I'll make my own self laugh. Hey, sometimes you got to do that. Take a breath with me here. Release. Another. Come with me into your own being right now. Come with me into the realm of ever-expanding good. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. The kingdom of God is within. Come with me. On this first day of Kwanzaa, Umoja, unity. Unity, oneness with God, unity, oneness with each other, unity, oneness in spiritual community, unity, God's community being birthed everywhere on the planet, Umoja, unity. Come with me into a state of unity. That's a good tea as well to drink. Unity. And we turn within and we feel a deep sense of gravity. Levity. That takes us from the gravity of our coarse thoughts. This gratitude and this thanksgiving, come on with me up into gratitude right now. Just lift yourself up and be grateful for anything at all. Come with me right now into this state of thanksgiving and dynamic appreciation. Come on! And in this consciousness of gratefulness, perceptual windows become a little more clearer. We can see, oh my God, God is here all the time. Oh my God, life is for me. Oh my God, regardless of the experience that I've been growing through, the light has never gone out. I may have had my attention on the clouds, but the sun was always shining. Oh, I recognized the presence of God in the luminosity of my own soul. Oh, my God. From this sense of unity, this sense of oneness with the presence, I get to speak the word for each and every one of us today, and I say that I get to do this. I get to do this. I can look back over the course of my own incarnation, and my life could have turned out quite differently. The destiny that I surrendered to allows me to be here right now, to speak the word for each and every one of us, that we may be free today, that every organ and action function of our body temple may hear this frequency and align itself with the celestial body of health and harmony and wholeness and well-being. It is a spiritual realization of wholeness that's already within us. It's not exogenous. It's not from outside of yourself. Oh, it's from within. That's where it begins. Mental clarity, emotional purity. The body of our affairs reflecting and revealing the fundamental harmony of the universe, the fundamental order. Can we get with this? Feel it. 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 Feel it right now. Feel it. I want you to feel it. I want you to feel it. Jackie Simone, help them feel it.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me. Walk with me, Lord. Walk with me while I'm on this endless journey. I know that Spirit, my God, walks with me. Hold my hand, Lord. Hold my hand. Hold my hand, Lord. Hold my hand while I'm on this endless journey. That Spirit, my God, walks with me, talks with me, loves through me, shines as me, yeah, is the light through me, yeah.
Feel the eternal moving through Curtis Bird, Idris Hester, Cal Bennett, Dwayne Augustine, David Neal, Ben Dowling, Jackie Simone Elliott, saying, walk with the great power, the great presence, and the great love. Talk with the great power, the great presence, the great love. Listen to the great power, the great presence, the great love. Hear it. Woo. feel the power of prayer right now.